Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk. Washington football team, what's going on, man? I'm just talking to the Washington fans right now. Everybody else, this ain't got nothing to do with you. If you're a Dallas fan, you're Philly or Giants or anybody else, I ain't talking to you right now. I'm talking to the Washington fans. And I'm talking to the team. So, what's going on, y'all? What's the problem? We do this thing every single year. We come out and we, during the off season, we talk about all the great acquisitions that we made, and we look at the power rankings, and we do all of these statistics, and we come to the conclusion that Washington's going to be a powerhouse this year, and there's no reason that they won't win the division, and there's no reason that they won't go to the playoffs, and they're looking good for a Super Bowl all the time. Then when the season starts, they'll play with you a little bit and might give you a victory, pull out a victory in the beginning, maybe even give you two. And then comes the foolery. And then they begin to go downhill. And next thing you know, you're sitting there and you're wondering, how did Washington become so terrible so quick? Well, I'll give you the easy answer. The easy answer is this: they were always terrible. It was just a bluff. And we fall for it every time. I fall for it every time, and that's just the way sports go. Sometimes, you hope for the best with your team, and then they come out and they don't deliver, and you just go with that roller coaster up and down all season for year after year until they finally click one year, and you might squeak out something. That's just how it goes. But Washington, you seem to have a really, really big underlying issue going on right now, and that's the issues that's going on with the owner, Mr. Snyder. Mr. Snyder and his uh, correspondence with other people concerning people of color. Now we know this to be something that's ongoing in sports, and we know that a lot of these owners are racist. But when it comes out and you can actually pinpoint, and people actually have ironclad evidence that you're racist, that begins to affect the morale of the team. That begins to divide your locker room, because you got a lot of people in there who have certain feelings about the Black Lives Matter movement, and to have an owner who lets his true colors be shown, it definitely leads to problems in the locker room. That's going to drive an even further wedge between those racist players and the players that they play with, because let's just be honest, there are racist people in the NFL, and they know that their money requires them to coexist with black people. And so they'll choke down their feelings and their beliefs so that they can make their living playing football. We know this to be true all day, every day. We also know that these owners will show their favoritism in certain ways that they can without any scrutiny being shown towards them. But these things are definitely exercised in the NFL. Now, Washington, you have the big issue of not only that, but you also have the issue of the name of the team. Still don't have a name for the team yet, because why? You just at a loss for a team name and a mascot that doesn't represent something that's racist. So now we're starting to see this racism thing blow up even further, because now it's going to be not complimented, but it's going to be bolstered even further with the whole situation of the Redskins name and all of that, and the racial component that goes along with that. So now you have these two racial components right there. And then you throw into the mix that Washington is, well, actually, the Washington, D.C. is trying to become an actual state. in the United States, because if you don't know, DC is the District of Columbia. It's not considered a state, and they do not have voting power in Washington, D.C. Now, the reason Washington, D.C. is being pushed back against as far as giving them the right to be a state so that they can have voting power is because Washington, D.C. is mostly black. And you know that most of black people are going to vote what? Whatever stance they come from. And history says that black people are going to be mostly Democrats. And being that Washington, D.C. is about 70 to 80% black, then best believe it'll probably be a blue state. And they don't want that to happen. So there's pushback against Washington, D.C. becoming a state, even though they have a larger population than somewhere like Wisconsin. That's a state. So Washington has so many issues going on right now off of the field that I really, really don't expect anything out of them on the field this season. There's just so much going on in the locker room. There's so much going on in the front office. And there's so much racial tension right now that I just don't see them being able to dig themselves out of this hole to be able to accomplish anything, especially with the people in the locker room divided on racial tension issues. So, I'll chalk this season up. I really won't be talking much about my team because I'm very disappointed at the program right now, performance wise, and for the ownership and so forth, so on. So I won't be speaking much about Washington football team this season. Um, but yeah, that's something that I definitely wanted to address because Washington, yo, y'all looking like bums, and I believe this curse is connected to y'all owner. So if y'all get a new owner, if somehow they can persuade Dan Snyder to sell the team, y'all get a new owner, maybe y'all can get that curse lifted. But as of right now, as it stands with Washington and what Washington is doing, Washington's going to continue to have this curse on them. So, I'm still a fan, but it is what it is. I understand what the team's going through and what this season is going to look like for us. So I ain't talking no junk. I ain't doing none of that back and forth with nobody about Washington and Cowboy. None of that because we deserve the garbage season that we're having. I just wanted to put that out there in the atmosphere. This is your boy D Mac. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.